With the curse of being the smartest black man on YouTube, I come across various articles that always confuse me, that always befuddle me, that always leave me in bewilderment, because I often want to read some thought-provoking content. I often want to read something that would challenge me, but oftentimes I'm reading things that make no fucking sense, and for some reason people just agree with because it brings down white people and make them feel bad about themselves. It doesn't create any sort of unity. It doesn't create any sort of coming together so that we could all fix a problem. It just creates more divide, and if you don't agree with that, then you're some grifter who just spent their time pleasing white people all day. And today I've been gifted something from Della of the Subtweet This podcast. Shout out to him for this beautiful article that I'm going to read to you, and hopefully you along with me will be confused at what the fuck even the point of this even was, because we're going to be talking about how yams and sweet potatoes are a thing. They're both foods, but if you confuse them, if you label them as different things, that's racist. For many people within the United States, the term yam and sweet potato are used interchangeably to describe the sweet, starchy goodness that acts as the perfect side dish to meals, or the marshmallow cinnamon dessert-inspired candied yams served in the fall. However, yams and sweet potatoes are completely different vegetables. Yams actually have a starchy and rough brown texture and are consumed in West Africa, Asia, the Caribbean, and Latin America. They can also reach enormous lengths up to 45 feet long. Sweet potatoes, on the other hand, are a new world root vegetable that has a creamy interior and has a softer red exterior. The mix-up occurred around the time of the transatlantic slave trade. Yams are customary to West African food traditions. As European slave traders crossed the Middle Passage, they packed copious amounts of yams alongside black-eyed peas to feed the captives. John Barbot, a slave merchant, estimated that 100,000 yams were needed to sustain the livelihood of over 500 enslaved people. That's roughly 200 yams per person for a journey that could take months. Yams were not readily available in the Americas as sweet potatoes were, which traveled from Central America with the help of Christopher Columbus. In a February issue of Food and Wine, culinary educator at NYU and chef Dr. Scott Els Barton wrote about sweet potatoes becoming one of the many transfer foods, and that allowed enslaved people to keep some of their tradition and spiritual practices even in the midst of the abuse that they endured. Additionally, the confusion between yams and sweet potatoes continued due to a marketing campaign for Louisiana sweet potatoes, a trade group. Julian C. Miller, a researcher, created a new variety of sweet potatoes at the Louisiana Experiment Station. This sweet potato has a creamier, less stringy flesh and a more tender skin. It also has a high concentration of vitamin A than any other sweet potato on the market. In order to distinguish between the sweet potatoes from East Coast, Louisiana sweet potato industry started using the term yam. Now, sweet potato growers in California are working to stop the use of the word yam. The USDA also requires that yam should be accompanied with sweet potatoes in official descriptions. This confusion is common among the American public, which shows the perpetuation of sweet potatoes as yams is rooted in West African culinary traditions in the underbelly of American cuisine. The mix-up does have roots in structural racism that was a fiber of the country, but using sweet potatoes as yams by African Americans is a result of innovation, strength, and utilizing the resources that were readily available to them at the current time. And you would be asking yourself right now, which part of this article is supposed to be racist? What part of the article is supposed to be something that I should be viewing as something discriminatory? And you honestly have me at a loss, because I read the entire article. I'm even scrolling down to the end point where they have different links and different talking points and other things that you would have on this website, and I'm seeing nothing that would convince me that confusing the two foods is racist. Now, you could sit here and question the business for sitting there and labeling something that is not a yam as a yam, and you could label that as bad business practice, and you could call that scummy practices by a company, but I'm not going to sit there and label that as racist. I would just call it something that many food businesses and many other businesses that don't even revolve around food have done in the past. I'm pretty sure you could look up various examples examples of people labeling something that it's not and still selling it to people labeling it as something that it's not. I don't sit here and wonder if various different things that businesses do are racist. I sit here and wonder if these businesses are actually thinking that their occupants, their consumers, their customers are legitimately brain dead. And if people are reading this type of article and wondering if, oh, I have confusing yams and sweet potatoes, oh, I must be a racist. You're losing yourself at this point. And I feel as though I have lost brain cells from this. I wanted to be confused by this article, and I completely am, because I haven't found anything within this article that screams racist. But of course, it is structural racism, because that's a new form of racism that only pertains to businesses. They're not discriminating against other people. They're just labeling something that it's not. And while it shouldn't be labeled as a yam, if they're making sweet potatoes and labeling it as yams, they shouldn't be. But I'm not going to sit here and cry foul about how a company is trying hard to make money. And you shouldn't be either. There are better things. There are actual racist things taking place that actually bring down the black community and African communities. This ain't it. Enjoy your Thanksgiving food. I know it's April. It's about to be May, but make some yams, make some sweet potatoes. Go get some sweet potato pie from Walmart if you don't know how to cook. Subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.